Boa tarde, já é quase boa tarde. Então, meu nome é Ilana Eilberg e é uma honra muito grande poder conduzir esse momento com a doutora Ruth Calderon, que já dispensa o currículo, que ontem já foi apresentado, também está no programa. E vamos diretamente, então, escutar justamente esse tópico que a Anabela acabou de falar, Horizontes na cultura e a educação na pós-modernidade. Ela vai falar aproximadamente 18 a 20 minutos, e na sequência a gente terá o Ariel, o Fabio e a Ivelise, que vão estar aqui para indagar, comentar ou realizar alguma pergunta. Então, vamos lá, Bivaca.
Shalom. I'll stand up. Thank you for staying. It's not easy to sit the whole morning like students. So I don't know if I could do the whole morning, so thank you for staying. And thank you for having an opportunity for women to talk and not just be moderators. I am not professional in post-modernity. I don't know much about it. But I thought, what can I say and what can I share with you? How do I think about education and post-modernity? So what is the difference between being a teacher in modern times or before modern times and in post-modern times? What do you think? What's the main difference to be a teacher in a classroom with students in post-modern times? Now, you're the teachers. I admire teachers.
Quem gostaria?
It's hard. It's hard to have leadership inside of the class. And why is that? What do the students have now that they didn't have before? Cell phone. In other ways, they have access to knowledge. When I went to university even, I wanted to know in the Talmud what's written in the manuscripts, in Ktav Yad Minchen, in Ktav Yad Vilna, in Venezia. Only the teacher had it, or you had to go to the university and wait in line, and they would check you, and then you would go in and look at the microfiche, and only then you could open the manuscript of Venezia. Today, on your cell phone, you can sit on the beach in your bathing suit and open Talmud and see what is the manuscript. You can make it bigger. And I'm shocked. In some ways, I'm traditional, and it is a bit frightening to me that anyone can open the manuscripts. That's like the holiest thing for the Talmud department, the manuscripts. So you all have now access to knowledge, and I'm the teacher. What can I do in order to still have something to teach you? I want to go forward and backward. Forward to say, so you will be working together with me to get to the knowledge. I want to talk about post-modernity. I always think when I need to teach something, I go back to the Talmud and think. I kind of go in my mind like you look for something to wear, you go on your wardrobe. What would be a good story that talks about post-modernity? I'm thinking of when Moses went up to receive the Torah and got to Rabbi Akiva's yeshiva. That's the story I would like us to look at. We only have 20 minutes. Now we have 18 minutes. So I'm asking you, can anyone on his cell phone, please, find in Portuguese the story of when Moses went high to receive the Torah? If you would be 15 years old or 12 years old, you would already find it, right? But we are almost 15 years old. But if someone here is quick with his phone, can you please find? I will give you a few hints. It is the Babylonian Talmud. The tractate is Menachot. If you would be kids, you would already know that. Because there's nothing the teacher has that they don't have. They could write just a sentence. B'sha'a she'ala Moshe lamarom, and they would have it. But let's be older. The tractate is Menachot, and I believe it's Kaftet Amud Bet, 29, page 2. If anyone can find it while I talk, send it to Annabella. And when when Annabella receives it, it will be up here. I already gave Annabella the text in Hebrew, so if she would, where is she? Annabella, if she would, please put it online. If anyone finds it in Spanish or Portuguese, please send it to Annabella. And I don't know if the Talmud exists in. You have the translation online? If not, so find it in English or something that could help. So this is the text. The first thing I want to say is that the classroom in postmodern times are working, resources for the teacher. Instead of blocking the knowledge and not letting you touch the knowledge yourself and only I can give it to you, I'm telling you, go ahead, whatever you will find that is relevant text to the story of Moses receiving the Torah, I'll be happy to play with it and will be intertextuality. That is, intertextuality is something that the Professor Daniel Boyarin wrote a famous book about, but it's very ancient. That is what the rabbis do in the Talmud. They're always intertextual. They always use intertextuality. They know the Bible by heart, and they know their Mishnah and Talmud. What they already know, they know by heart, and they jump from one thing to another as professionals, as chug, like intellectuals that have a similar language. And so we'll try to do something of that sort. Until then, I will say it in English. Anyone found anything? I'm waiting for it to come up. So I'll start. When Moses went up high to receive the Torah, when was it? Remember from the story? Where are we? In the desert. Which desert? Which mountain? Sinai. So he's going up to receive the Torah. God says to him to come up, and he's wearing his galabia and beard, like we saw in the play in school. And he goes up. And what is he going to find up on the mountain after 40 days and 40 nights of climbing and all the people of Israel not eating meat and washing the... What is he going to find up there? Why is he climbing? God. Now, what do we know about God in the Bible? Can Moses meet God and see him face to face? No. Lo yir'eni ha'adam v'chai. A person cannot see God. So he's walking up 40 days and 40 nights, and we don't know exactly what's going to happen up there. So the rabbis tell the story. B'sha'ah she'ala Moshe lamarom. I'm on the third line. אמר רב יהודה אמר רב, בשעה שאלה משה למרום, מצאו לקדוש ברוך הוא, he met, he found, הקדוש ברוך הוא, God, the blessed, the Holy One, blessed be him, קדוש ברוך הוא, he met him, שהיה יושב, nice, כל הכבוד, that's a little so, God was sitting and putting crowns on the letters. What do you mean sitting? It should be a shock to us when we hear the story. First of all, there's no sitting up high. They say there's no sitting. The angels are like Barbie dolls before they started. Remember when we were little, the Barbie dolls were only with straight leg. They say the angels have a straight leg. They always stand. There's no sitting. But you don't see God sitting and working. What does he do? What does it mean to put crowns on the letters? Like what profession? Like what? Like an artist? Like a sofer stam, right? He's like writing like sofer stam is writing a mezuzah or a scroll. So God is sitting and decorating the letters, which is already a radical shock, talking about post-modernity, for a rabbi to say that he saw him sitting and working. So Moses says, God, what is keeping you? You, God, that created the whole world in 1 week and rested on Shabbat. I only asked for 10 commandments. You have 40 days and 40 nights and you didn't finish? It doesn't make sense. who are you working for? מי מעכב על ידך? Who makes you, איך אומרים מעכב? Yeah, why are you working so hard? Who is it? Who is the significant other that for them you are working so much? Like to the last minute, like when you have to give a paper and you still do it again and again. Who is it? Now, what does Moses want to hear? Why is God working so hard? For whom? What does Moses want to hear? Am Israel, Akiva, you're very polite. For you, Moses, for you. You're my friend. You are my partner to take these people out of Egypt. I call them your people, like a married couple. For you, Moses, I'm giving you the best Torah possible. But God is not Polish, and he does not accept guilt conscience. And he says the truth. He said there is a man, Adam Echad Yesh, שעתיד להיות, that is going to be, to appear, שעתיד להיות בעוד כמה דורות. I already have the character, the protagonist, but in the series, he's only in the next season, in 10 seasons. No, you are in the first season, Moses. This protagonist is going to be in the 10th season, and his name is Akiva ben Yosef. And he is going to use this text that I'm now writing and making the crowns on the letters. In each crown, I'm hiding tilim shel halachot, piles and piles of knowledge, of like they do today in technology, that you can put a lot of information in, I don't know the language, but format or whatever. So I'm giving you a Torah that on your season you'll give it to the people, that you'll have to break it and come up and write it again. But in one day, in a few generations, Rabbi Akiva is going to bring out of it a lot of halachot that will be needed in his time. Moshe Rabbeinu, in my reading, is a little upset. Who's Rabbi Akiva? I thought it's just you and me. I didn't know there's someone else between us. The jealousy of the third partner. So he says, show him to me, which is always what you say when you hear there is a third partner in a relationship. What does he have that I don't have? And God again is not manipulated to guilt and says, okay, I'll show him to you. חזור לאחוריך. Go backwards. Go backwards. Now that's a very important concept in classic Talmudic thought. When we want to go to the future, where do we go? Today. Kadima, we go forward, to the future. And the past is in our back. But in Hebrew, in ancient Hebrew, nachon. Kadima is what Yemei Kedem already happened. So we walk in life backwards. This is Kadima, what already happened, Yemei Kedem, and this is Acharit Hayamim, what is going to happen. We go backwards. We don't know what the future is. We only know what the past was. Do you get this in the Hebrew? So Chazor le'achorecha is go to the future. That is the first Back to the Future movie, before there were movies. God says to Moses, go backwards, go to the future. Moses goes back, we don't know how, and lands in the first century in the Beit Midrash of Rabbi Akiva. Everybody is dressed in Greek togas, like the Academia of Platon, and they talk philosophy, כלל ופרט, פרט וכלל, גזרה שווה, all the work that Rabbi Akiva and his scholars do. And Moshe Rabbeinu with the galabia and the beard and the stick, he doesn't understand anything. And he thinks these are Reformed Jews. What did they do with my Torah? I gave them a Torah and they're talking Greek philosophy. And he sits in the 8th row, in the last row, where the less talented, less quick students sit in the. Today we bring the more challenged students forward, but in the rabbi's time, the best students were in the first line, and you have to keep your position, because if the teacher asks you something and you don't answer, you go backwards. And so he sits in the 8th row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, one more. And he sits there and he doesn't know what they're talking. The shash kocho, and he's like losing he's exhausted, but spiritually he's exhausted in his alma, in his soul. And that's a very strong postmodern image that the modern time of the first, second century is dominating, and the classic old Judaism of biblical times is sitting there not understanding. Of course, the person that wrote the story is Rabbi Akiva on his team. So then Rabbi Akiva, one of the students asked Rabbi Akiva about some halacha. What about that? What text, what phrase in the Bible supports the halacha of zugot, or the fact that tefillin should be black, or there's a whole list of halachot that are not proven from verse in a Bible. And Rabbi Akiva answers, this one is halacha leMoshe miSinai. I'm proving it because I just got it in tradition from Moses in Sinai. Moses sitting out there in the 8th row suddenly hears his name and understands that they didn't forget about him. They didn't go beyond to some place that is completely different. They are his continuity. And he wakes up and he calms down, goes back to God. And there is a very tragic ending to the story, but when he comes back to God and he says to God, if you have him, why do you need me? Which is like, again, to ask God to say, no, Moses, I really need you, you're the best. And God says the amazing sentence, shut up. This is how I thought about it. שתוק, כך עלה במחשבה מלפניי. It's the only place I know. He says it twice in this story, but it's not something common. It's not very common that God talks to you, but it's not common that he says, שתוק, כך עלה במחשבה מלפניי. I saw that some people sent text. Annabella, can you show me what did we get? It didn't open well. But I just wanted to say, what can we do with postmodernity? Instead of fighting the fact that the kids have it in their fingertips, we can use it. And they're really very good. If we were 15, fantastic. It's not this one, but יפה מאוד. כמה דרבי זרע, נוקה. It's exactly before the text. But you see that if they were, all our kids, if they would be here, it would be in pictures already. They have another finger. And then I'm using them to be together with me instead of trying to control them all the time. Don't look at your phone. No, do look at your phone. Give it to me in Portuguese. Give it to me in Spanish. Give me the next page, and so on. I'm saying postmodern in two ways, and then I'll stop and we'll go into questions. One is that technology is challenging, but it doesn't have to be our enemy. It could be something that we use, and I do think that the next generation has ways to study that at home I'm using them. They don't like me to ask them to do things for me, but they can do. You ask them to make a picture and artificial intelligence picture of Rabbi Akiva on Har Sinai and God writing, they will do it in a minute and there will be a picture. And we are not so quick in doing that. And then we engage their technological knowledge with, they are only 15. They don't have the depth of thinking about who is it that wrote a story about Bible personalized in a human being, Moses, meeting Talmud, personalized in a human being Rabbi Akiva, and seeing what will happen when they meet each other. Because in history, they did not meet each other. They live in different decades. But the story, the writer, the amazing artist and amazing person, Amarav Yehuda Amarav, I don't know if they wrote it, but they gave it to us. They made this dramatic scene that is so deep and thoughtful. What do we do with classic knowledge that meets the interpretation and gets frightened that the interpretation is not authentic, but then comes down when it understands that it's like a kite. If you don't hold the chut, the string of the kite, it's just paper in the wind. But if you don't give it string, it will never fly. So Midrash is a kite. You have to hold to Moses, but you have to give string to Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was one of the wildest interpreters. He does Midrash on ach verak vegam veyud. He's very creative. He lets himself be very free, but he always holds to the phrase, to Moses. And that is something very interesting that we can talk about today's liberal Judaism and classic Judaism, and within classic Judaism, all kinds of Messianic Judaism and whatever. The thinking about the text, I believe the students need us. Education is about an adult meeting a young soul, mind, and helping them think about the world. And that will never change, I think. It's the joy of the intimacy of meeting someone young and helping them understand the world. It's the joy of getting older when you walk backwards and you saw a lot of scenery and they are still with a very short, they didn't see much, and you can still open the world for them. The depth of understanding the story, I think they need us, but we should not, we don't need anymore to be the teachers of last generations that are the only source to the knowledge. It's free, and I think it's something very good that happened to the world. I want to open just if you have any remarks about the story itself, and then take questions and go forward. Rabbi Akiva, Moses, the image of God here, as a worker, as a writer, what the Torah is, the crowns on the letters. It's very rich. We can talk about it later too. So, I'm in your hands.
Então, vamos passar algumas indagações aqui, perguntas. Vai. Vou passar, acho que para Ivelise. Começar? Ah, sim. Sorry. Vamos esperar ela colocar. Só um pouquinho. It's okay? All right. It's quiet.
Boa tarde, bom dia, quase boa tarde, né? Muito obrigada pelas suas palavras, pelas inspiradoras palavras. Oi? Ok, desculpa. Então, obrigada pelas inspiradoras palavras. E, na verdade, eu tenho 2 questionamentos que são para traduzir um pouco a minha inquietação enquanto educadora, né? De crianças e jovens e adultos, que a gente está sempre aprendendo e está sempre ensinando. Essa é a grande troca do professor, né? Eu acho que o dia que o professor esquecer ou não ter mais essa visão de que eu também posso aprender, ele precisa repensar um pouco, né? A gente está encarando um novo momento que, na minha visão, foi antecipada pela essa pandemia, né? Então, o que antes a gente tinha, pela teoria, 3 minutos para captar a atenção do nosso aluno, 10 minutos para a gente passar um conteúdo, tinha todo um fluxo que a gente guiava a nossa aula. Hoje nós temos 3 segundos para captar, né? É tudo muito rápido. Os nossos jovens, as nossas crianças estão acostumadas com esse novo fluxo, né? Então, eu vejo um pouco, e essa é a minha inquietação, e queria me remeter àquela história do Einstein, que foi muito bacana. Eu tenho a sensação que, às vezes, a gente também não sabe muito onde a gente está indo. São novas descobertas diárias, são novas... a inteligência artificial, a cada momento, estávamos falando, é assustador, muitas vezes, o que está sendo jogado para a gente. Então, a minha... essa busca que a gente tem de saber para onde a gente está indo, como é que a gente vai guiar e ajudar os nossos alunos a caminhar junto e a caminhar para um lado de adquirir esse conhecimento e, principalmente, o discernimento do que tem na frente deles, né? Então, a minha pergunta é, nessa perspectiva pós-moderna, como é que a educação poderia ser repensada para atender às necessidades dos indivíduos envolvidos? Aí eu digo, professores, alunos e a sociedade. Então, essa é a minha primeira pergunta. Eu não sei se eu já faço a segunda ou não. Vamos deixar um bate e volta, tá bom. Então, é essa a minha primeira inquietação.
Thank you for the question. I think that both in Einstein time, in Rabbi Akiva time, and in our time, we don't know where we're going. The worst times are when people thought they knew where they're going, and usually they were surprised. I hear the Portuguese, it's so nice. I never spoke so nicely. Take it out. Chaval, it sounds so good. I'm thinking she's nice. I think what we can do today, in honesty, is tell ourselves, our colleagues, and our children that we don't know exactly what's going to happen, but we do know what it is to be a moral human being, what is our duty as a person, as a Jew, and what our experience taught us. And older people have more experience. And I think children are listening to us. They look at us. They know what we really believe in, what we really care about, not what we say, but what we really appreciate. And we are surprised how much they take it into their heart. It's like they hear us, the teachers and the parents, they hear us with a microphone. We don't have to yell. They're listening, not to what you say, but what you are. And in that sense, there always will be a need for an educator. There's no profession, I think, more important than an educator. I'm repeating the rabbi that spoke here before me. They should be paid more than any profession. With all due respect to artificial intelligence, I'm not afraid of it because it's a machine. And still, what we can do as humans is something that no machine can do. And that's why I believe that with time, educators will be more and more appreciated, and we need to fill ourselves with as much knowledge and learning and richness and understanding humans and the world in order to be there for the young and support them when they meet the very frightening world that, by the way, was always frightening. I wouldn't like to be a woman in the time of the Bible or in the time of Rabbi Akiva, or to be a Jew in my mother's time in Germany. In Bulgaria, I'm very grateful to be a woman and a Jew today. Although in Brazil, but I still got the opportunity. They don't want to know if you have economical problems. They shouldn't be partners in that or other marital problems. But you should be honest in things like what we talked about, the world and Judaism. They know much more than we think what really we care about. And naturally, they care about it too. You don't have to yell, they listen. And so the fact that they're quick with information doesn't mean that they know what to do with their life, what to do with the world. They're looking at us, they're looking at teachers, they're looking at parents for answers. Even when they're teenagers and they want to be exactly the opposite, it's also looking at us. And I'm a great believer that if you trust them, they are your children, they are you in the next generation. They will, I have now, thank God, a grandchild, and the grandchildren will live in a world that I can't even imagine. It's more than the children that I can still help. Grandchildren will be in a world that we can't even pick up the phone because nobody will know me then. So I have to trust them that they are as smart as us and that they look at us, and if you think about yourself thinking about your father and mother, how emotional we are about things from our parents or our grandparents, it's the same with the children. And trust them, they don't mean to go to a different place. They will take the deep knowledge that we are giving them, midor ledor, and they will translate them into the quick technological. That's not really something that I think is threatening our values. So that's what I think.
Bom, daria para ficar horas e horas, né? Mas a Anabela já veio aqui falar comigo algumas vezes. Quero agradecer, maybe you put your phone. Quero agradecer muito a doutora Ruth. A gente poderia, eu escutando, eu me remeto muito ao que eu pesquisei e li e não conheço sobre o Instituto Alma, que o diálogo, né, essa experiência de pertencimento cultural, esse debate que fizeste aqui na frente entre o próximo, entre os textos clássicos e contemporâneos e o pluralismo, eu acho que isso é o que a gente realmente deve ter um olhar muito forte em todos os ambientes judaicos e educacionais que nós outros estamos juntos. Então, muito obrigada mais uma vez e agradeço.
Muito obrigado a esse painel.